Okay, I think we have a quorum, so let's kick it off. Thanks you all for joining. I'm Erik de Bond. I'm the platform manager, sitting on Ion at Telecinix, Belgium and Luxembourg. Today is the third session of this Microsoft rules enforcement that they are going to do next couple of weeks and months. If during the presentation you don't agree, you have doubt, you have questions, please do unmute yourself and talk to me or use the chat window. I'd rather have questions answered immediately than you needing to wait for it. I'm monitoring the chat window as we speak. So again, if you have questions, remarks, don't agree, doubts, just unmute or use the chat window. Today we're going to talk about rules that Microsoft is implying, rules that exist, some of them for years, some are rather new, but came to our attention that some of those rules are not really followed by you, us, the way Microsoft intended them to be followed by all of us, resulting in, at some moment in time, that purchasing new licenses, for instance, might not be possible anymore if we don't comply altogether to the rules. So important thing to watch and to see. If you have a colleague that say, oh, that person needs to follow this session as well, there's a new session on May 26th and on May 28th. Okay. So basically, there are 5 rules that we're going to look at. Especially, obviously, 1 and 2 are the most eminent and the most important ones. 3, 4, and 5 are there also, but they are less, let's say, tactical to have. So let's start with rule number 1. Okay. Which is basically, and this is a text that you can read afterwards. You will get a PDF with the slides information, and the link will be in there as well. Basically, the slides that follow are created based on this announcement. So what is the rule? The rule says that as an indirect reseller, to be associated with a purchase, you must, and then there are 4 things, have an active CSP tenant that is associated with an authorized PLA ID, and I'll come back to that, what that is, the PLA ID. Have accepted the Microsoft partner agreement, that in most cases will be fine. Be located in the same region as your indirect provider, yeah, I'll come back to that as well. And share your PLA ID with your indirect provider, basically share your information with us so we can work together. Failing to comply will make you unable to buy new subscriptions, and if it takes long, Microsoft will disable your tenant, and also mean that you cannot do management anymore using GDAP to your customers. Okay, so what does this mean? Let's do some further. The word indirect reseller, basically that's you. So Microsoft doesn't use partner or whatsoever, they use indirect reseller. Why? Because you don't buy directly from them, you buy via us and then resell to your customers. So you're the indirect reseller, implying that we are the indirect provider, or ContiLeaks, other disties are the indirect provider. Why do I emphasize this? Because the wording in the articles of Microsoft are always using indirect reseller and indirect provider as words to identify you, indirect reseller, or us, indirect provider. Okay. The MPA, Microsoft Partner Agreement, verify this. How do you do that? Go to Microsoft Partner Center, sign in with your global admin account, click settings on the gear icon Rex on top. Navigate to account settings, legal information, select the partner tab. In the program info section, look for the partner agreement. If it's not signed, you will be able to sign it. If it's signed, it will say, okay, it's signed. Easy as that. Have a look at it, check it. If it's signed, fine. If not, please do so because you will need to have it signed anyway. The third thing is the PLA. partner local MPN ID or local ID, which I come back more in detail later, is basically you have your MPN ID, you have multiple MPN IDs, everyone has multiple MPN IDs, and basically what we need is the PLI that is associated with your CSP program. So that is basically what we need. And also you need to accept the reseller agreement link, which you will receive if needed. If it's already signed, fine. If you didn't accept the reseller agreement between us, then you need to do it. If not, I come back to that. What happens if you cannot accept this reseller agreement? Okay. So your partner location MPN, you all have at least 2 MPN IDs. One global, which is kind of an umbrella, you know, and then one or multiple partner locations where you do business with. We all have them. TD SYNNEX, every country has 2 or 3 partner locations. We are under one global with Holland, so we have 6 or 7 different partner locations available for us to work with. And some of them are CSP enabled, some of them are not. And that's basically in the creation of the, or afterwards you can say, okay, I want to use this location also as for CSP purchases and so on. Where do you find it? Go to the settings module. So the gear icon on the top right, go to account settings, and there you see with the identifiers, you see the Microsoft IE Cloud Partner Program. You have multiple, and this is about, of us, our screenshot, where you see it's one partner global and multiple partner locations. The one that interests us is that of the partner location where you logged on to do your CSP business with. So if you take the CSP tab on the same page, you get one ID, and that's the ID that needs to be communicated to us, because that's the one that we need to fill out in every purchase you do via Stream1 Ion. Okay. If it's not okay, if you say, ooh, I'm not sure, you can go to Ion, Stream1 Ion, you go to the partner, select the SYNNEX, select the programs, Microsoft CSP. You say, oh, this is not the correct one. You do the request. You fill in the new partner ID or the correct one, and then you say save. Just be aware that it's not because you save immediately, everything is changed. Why? We need to wait till the billing cycle of Microsoft is finished before we can do these kind of changes. Otherwise, there will be issues with invoicing, over invoicing, under invoicing. It will be a complete mess on that level. So if you do it, if you make the change today, within the second part of the month, it will be done in a couple of days. If you do it like on the 3rd of the month, you will need to wait till the 15th, 16th before the action is really done on our side. Again, this is purely for billing reasons to make sure that there is no wrong billing going on, wrong invoicing going on between Microsoft and us and you and your customer, because it's a lot of work to rectify that afterwards. So you can verify the MPN that's used. So go to PAC, find what's your CSP MPN ID, go to Ion and verify that the numbers are the same. If not, do the change in Stream1 Ion. Okay, questions, remarks? Okay. No questions, no remarks. Again, you can unmute yourself. You can speak to me in French, English, Dutch, and some German. But that's basically where my language ends. Okay. Rule number 2. Your tenant. Okay. Microsoft, when they created the CSP environment tenant setup, their idea was that you manage your customers always starting from your partner center. We know that all of you have an account at each customer, which is fine, which works. It's not the way Microsoft intended it to use, but you can do that. It works fine for you. It works fine for us. We're okay with that. But basically, Microsoft says, no, you should go to Partner Center, log in there, and from there on jump onto the management of your customers, the way basically we do it at TD SYNNEX. Why? Because Microsoft is checking for MFA, so you need to have MFA enabled, which is might not be the case at your customers level. If someone leaves the company, automatically they don't have access to the customers anymore neither, because you disable the account, so they don't have access to the customers. But again, you need to accept the reseller agreement. If it's not accepted, you can repeat that here, but you already know that now. So what we see is that, again, a lot of you have an Excel sheet or a password vault, which is then shared with all your colleagues. For every customer, there is a username and a password with global admin rights, and you can do your management of a customer. Works fine for me, but remember, people might take away that information if they leave the company, so you have a security risk. And again, it's not the way Microsoft wants you to work. So basically, so how Microsoft wants you to work is your pack, you're in the middle. So you have your pack tenant and you have your office production environment. So where you do your Outlook and your Teams, it's on your office production, and you have your pack where you manage your customers. If not, you're kind of lucky in this part of the presentations, but I come back to that later. So basically, you have your pack tenant, as we call it, and your office production. But this is not the way Microsoft wants you to work. Yeah. And let me show you this. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read. Sorry, one too fast. Read the blue box. We were 5 people, read this 16 times to understand really what it says. Okay. Let me translate what it says. It basically says that if you are selling CSP licenses, you should not do that with the same tenant where you do your office production. I know this is quite shocking. So basically, if you have one tenant that you use to do management of your customer and you use the same tenant for your office production, you're not compliant to Microsoft rules. You cannot buy for yourself. You see at the left side how we work at TD SYNNEX. We have our production tenant, so completely isolated tenant at tdsynnex.com. If you send me an email, it goes to that tenant. But if I want to manage one of your customers, I go to another tenant where I have another login, which is basically called TD Belgium, but okay, that's a detail. I'll log in on that one, and then I can do management of the customers. So basically, that's the compliant way to work. So go to the next slide, meaning that you should create a second tenant for yourself in the partner center. So you have 2 tenants, one for your customer management and one for your office production. The same way we work at TD SYNNEX, 2 tenants. I'll let it sink in for a minute. Okay. So there are 2 scenarios. You create a new tenant and you move all your office to that new tenant and you keep your customers at the existing tenant. Fine, but then you will need to move all your users, mailboxes, SharePoint, Teams, customer domains, whatsoever you have on your production tenant to the new tenant. BitTitan, AvePoint have nice solutions for that, but I cannot guarantee that if you do this over a weekend, that on the Monday morning, everything will work. I cannot guarantee that. It depends on your setup. Depends on how complex your setup is. Do you have links to Azure environments and stuff like that? So might not be the easiest way to move on. Second scenario, you create a new tenant and you move the customers to that new tenant to the management. So you establish the customer relation with each customer, with each tenant, and you also reinitiate the GLAP to that new using the new tenant for your customers. In most cases, this will be the preferred scenario because your production environment is not impacted. And if you have not too much customers, it will take you an hour or so to have this all fixed and set up. And on the second scenario, on the CSP tenant, only users that need to manage your customers need access on the tenant. For us at the TD SYNNEX, the people in the Microsoft Cloud team have access to that tenant and can manage the customers. All the TD SYNNEX employees, even those our colleagues also in the Hypercare Cloud team, they don't have access to that environment because they don't need it. They don't work with the Microsoft Cloud environment. We don't want them to go around and start messing stuff up, so they don't have access to that environment. So it's an extra security layer if you would like to. We have an alternate scenario. If you say, oh, creating a new tenant, I cannot do that in 2 days. We might, that really depends on the bandwidth we have available, move your production tenant to another pack that we have at TD SYNNEX. It's a temporary solution. You will need to go to the two tenant setup. There is no way around that. We can do this as a temporary solution for a couple of weeks to gain time, basically, to have your production going on and still be able to purchase new licenses. But again, this is a temporary solution, depending on our bandwidth, because it takes some time on our side. We are not 50 people to do this. We might agree to put you on a new tenant. Drawback is you will not be able to manage your own licenses. So you can buy for every of your customers. You can do lifecycle management of your customers using StreamOne Ion, but you will not be able to buy for yourself or do lifecycle management on the StreamOne Ion platform. Okay. And on the pack tenant, you don't need licenses on. So unless if you want to do like conditional access on that tenant, or you want to do send mails from the tenant, then you will need licenses. But frankly, for us at TD Belgium, there are no licenses associated, just accounts that we use to log on. That's all there is. And MFA obviously is enforced on that tenant as well. So that's the security Microsoft implies. Microsoft does not want or does not imply or force conditional access rules on that pack tenants, but they do enforce MFA on the pack tenants. Questions, remarks? Let it sink in a bit. Okay. Then we go to number.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Johan, sure.
Okay. So that means that we have to make a new login for the Ion as well.
No.
We create a new tenant on our portal.
No, that's completely. The only thing we need is the new tenant ID, the new CSP ID that we change in Ion. For the rest, everything changes. One, we just need to change the MPN ID used as we saw before in StreamOne Ion. That's the only thing. You can still continue to use in Ion the logins that you use today. That's
fine.
It's only on the partner center for Microsoft you would need to have those new accounts.
All
Good
right.
question,
Thanks.
by the way. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.
I never thought about that aspect of this change, but a very good question. Thank you, Johan. Okay, rule number 3, tier 1. So as said, so the blue box, remember, you cannot use another CSP to buy license for yourself. In this scenario, we are also a CSP reseller. So basically meaning you cannot sell on StreamOne Ion licenses for yourself. Because it's one CSP selling to another CSP on a production environment, not allowed by Microsoft. So what we can do there is we move you what we call a tier 1 purchase. So on your own tenant, we take away your MPN ID. There's no impact on production, on usage, on management. It's only that if you are eligible for Microsoft to get COPE funding or other kickbacks, your own license will not count in that program. That's the only implication will be if you remove your MPN ID from the purchases. But again, business-wise, everything still continue working. You can still do lifecycle management of your license. You can buy your own licenses, but it's not in a tier 2. So you buy it as a customer and not as a reseller to resell to yourself. I know it's a nuance, and I know it's in the wording, but for Microsoft, this is important. Yes. Your action, inform us which tenants you use for your production. Can be 1, can be more, can be 2, 3, 4, 5. And we do that action to move you to a tier 1 environment. Again, there's no interruption of your business, no interruption of your licenses whatsoever. It's just administrative. We need to do something. What does Microsoft understand on own is if the 51% of the shares are owned by the same entity, you own the tenant and thus you cannot buy for yourself. Example, company A is a reseller, has company B as a daughter company, which is a call center, for instance. Company A owns company B for 75%. Basically, they're not allowed to buy for company B using CSP because it's their own ownership from Microsoft. Don't panic. Yes, it's difficult for Microsoft to check those things out. So it's a gray zone if you do buy for those for your daughter companies. It's a gray zone. One day Microsoft might find out and stuff like that. To be compliant, you're not allowed. You need to buy it on tier 1. But you can continue working that. It's a gray zone. I said it clear and loud. You're not compliant, but in the gray zone you can cooperate like this. So how can you see that you're purchasing on tier 1? You go to the 3-1 Ion, you take your customer, my favorite Stevie 7. You go to the legacy Azure or Microsoft CSP cloud providers. If it's not there, you can add it. It's simply on the right top, add, and then take one of two, put in euros as currency, and then you're set. So you click one of those. Then you click on the euro sign. So you open the CSP, you click on the euro sign. And then you get here, allow direct purchase. If it's off, you're buying as a tier 2 for yourself, so not allowed. If it's on, meaning that you're buying in a tier 1 process, and then your MPN ID will not be visible on the purchases on the Microsoft environment. Again, just inform us, this is my tenant, and we'll do the work for you. Okay. Questions, remarks? Okay. So rule 1, rule 2, basically June is a time frame, so we need to hurry up. Next upcoming, we have time till October, which is basically the Microsoft Cloud Agreement. If your customer has signed, accepted the MCA, Microsoft Cloud Agreement, before April the 1st, 2023, it needs to be accepted again. Why? In the meantime, Microsoft changed their T's and C's, so the customer needs to be aware of that and needs to accept the rules to work with Microsoft Cloud environment. If it's not done by October, you will not be able to purchase new licenses for that customer. Microsoft will start looking at that. So Microsoft agreement is signed by the customer or by you as a proxy. If you sign it, you need to enter the details of the customer, because it's a customer agreement to Microsoft. It's not a reseller on behalf of the customer agreement to Microsoft. So basically what you're saying, if you're saying sign as proxy, we had a discussion with the customer, they know the T's and C's, I had a discussion with person X, so person X agreed to the rules, and this is person X IDs, first name, last name, email address, phone number is optional. Can be done in the cloud provider if you want to rearm it. You will get a list from us from those who are not active, but if you are the customer, if you do a lifecycle management, quickly go in, check it. If it's fine, fine. If it's not fine, just change or rearm the MCA, sign it again for the customer. Info of the customer is the name, so first name, last name, email, a company email. Should not be something at outlook.com or hotmail.com or other Google whatsoever you have consumer email accounts. It needs to be the company email account of the customer. Microsoft will not send mails to that, but it needs to be a company email. So how can you check and rearm if needed? So you open the customer again, you go to legacy or Microsoft CSP program, cloud provider. Again, you click the year, and then you see here the date. If it's after April the 1st, if yes, then you're set, fine. And Microsoft will change the T's and C's again. So in 2-3 years, you will need to reassign the MCA. We know this works now. So you will do this constantly. If not, click to update attestation. Fill in the first name, last name, the date of the day you're doing it, or the day you had the conversation with the customer, the email, and click update. Okay. And then this information will be sent to Microsoft. It will not be visible immediately in 3-1 Ion. It goes to Microsoft. Microsoft will put it on the customer's environment. And with the next sync we do with the Microsoft tenant environment, you get the information visible in 3-1 Ion. So don't panic if you say I can push update and information is not there. It's because we need to sync twice the Microsoft first send information, then wait and then get information back from Microsoft. Okay, this is fine. Okay, and then 5 is a small one. It's about your details of your customer details. In the customer's company profile in their admin center, so in their Microsoft 365 admin portal, there is company information. Make sure that everything is filled out. Yeah. We notice that sometimes there are missing emails, especially in the billing information, and then Microsoft reviews the purchases. Yeah. Make sure that the zip code is correct. In Belgium, Luxembourg, the zip code is 4 numbers. It's not BE-something or LU-something or whatsoever you can invent. It's only 4 numbers, 4 digits that you should enter as the zip at Microsoft, but also, by the way, in 3-1 Ion. So make sure that this information is filled out. Region or province is not star, it's not obliged, but we do encourage you to do that because sometimes we see that it fails when it's not filled out neither. Yeah? And again, email addresses are the customer's email address, no Hotmail, Live, Google, Telenet, Proximus, whatever you have, it needs to be the company email. Can be .onmax.com, can be on .be, whatsoever, but it needs to be a company email address, not a private consumer email address. So that's also for you and for your customers. Questions, remarks? I know this needs to sink in, but remember rule 1, rule 2, June basically is a time frame. We were very late informed about all that information from Microsoft. That's why we only do these sessions now and not 2 months ago. But it is what it is, so we need to take action fast.
So Eric, if I understand well, we have to make a really new tenant. It's not enough to add a new domain to our tenant. We really have to make a completely new tenant, and then send the re-invitations and everything, and to move the customers from the one tenant to the other. And do we have to delete the existing partner?
Yeah.
After we move them, we have to delete in the old tenant. We have to delete them. Okay, I mean, this is a lot of work, really.
If you have a lot of customers, then it might be a lot of work. Yes. If you do it the Microsoft way, then it's. But we all, because also us, we all get punished because we didn't follow the rules from the start, And now we see Microsoft is starting to enforce all those rules anyway.
Okay, luckily we have some long weekends.
So creating a new tenant is basically not that difficult. You go to the partner center with your global admin rights, and there you can create a new tenant. Under your global, you associate a new tenant with the global you have. You assign the CSP program to it, and basically it takes about 15 minutes to create a new tenant. So that's not a big work neither. The biggest work is, again, indeed, linking all the customers to the new tenant. That will be the biggest job to do.
Eric, can you show how to add this tenant to the partner portal?
I'll try.
I was looking for it, but I didn't find where to do it.
Normally, I had an article for that. I had an article that says exactly how it's done. Copilot. You know, Copilot is our friend. Huh? I think it's this one. Let's see. So basically, that's the steps, and here is the link. So this article basically gives you the full. I put it in the chat. This is basically how you create. So you need to go not direct build partner. You need to take the section as an indirect reseller. No, they do use indirect reseller. Okay, so basically that's how you do it. It's not that difficult. Create it and go in. I might be able. No, I cannot. I don't have the rights in our environment. I don't have the rights to do so, unfortunately. Can you open the link? Otherwise, we add the link also in the communication, Marcelin.
Yeah, I can. Thank you, Eric.
You see Copilot, it actually works. But that's another topic. Okay, I'm gonna let you sink in the information, think about it. If you have questions, remarks, you don't agree, you have doubts, just send us an email, hyperscaler.be@tdcinex.com or microsoft.be@tdcinex.com. They both go to the same mailbox. And this session will be repeated on the 26th and the 28th. I don't know exactly the timings. Yeah, the 26th is at 2 o'clock because it's glued after the platform update next Monday. It's also always a very interesting content that we share there on Stream1Ion. But if you have colleagues, if you want to review this session again, please, 26 and 28, we do the 2 next sessions of this presentation. If there are no more questions, remarks, I will thank you all for being here. Again, contact us. Don't hesitate. We're there to help you.